All right, we're gonna get right into it. This is just a follow up on the term Lucifer. We did a video series on Lucifer, and this is just just some more added information to fully further or should I say further break down the term Lucifer. Because that has been a stumbling block, and that has been something that has been used to manipulate and to put our people into a superstitious state, and through the spirit of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, we're gonna fully demolish that whole BS, low life, degenerate, cunningly devised fable, and we're gonna take it and we're gonna pluck it apart like a wet chicken, because for a long time this thing has basically bewitched our people, the so-called Negroes, West Indians, and Puerto Ricans, who are the Israelites. So what we're gonna do is basically we're gonna go right into the scriptures, and we're gonna go, before we hit the scriptures though, I want to hit this topic here called Lucifer, and we're gonna go to the New Unger's Bible Dictionary by Merrill F. Unger, and on page 787 of this particular book that I have here, I'm looking up the term Lucifer, and the word Lucifer comes from the Hebrew word Hayalal, which means brightness. It says this designation, referring to Satan, is a KJV rendering of NSAB's Star of the Morning, because they try to make you believe that it's talking about Satan, but it's not actually talking about Satan, even though on a smaller scale it is talking about Satan, because the term or the word Satan means adversary. And the so-called white man, which is the Edomite, or which are the Edomites, they are the adversaries of the Most High, because you have Israel, which are the children of the Most High, which are the righteous, and you have Esau, which is the counterpart of righteousness, which are the wicked, and they are the sons of Satan, and they are Satan personified in the flesh. So it says Star of the Morning. That's the actual rendering of the word Lucifer. Alright, from the word Hayalal, or from the Greek word Eosphoros, which means dawn bearer. That is bright star. And then it gives you the scripture, Isaiah 14:12-14. Probably what we call the morning star, which you'll see it in the morning. It's the brightest star in the morning, as a symbolical representation of the king of Babylon and his pride. So now you see that this particular Bible dictionary goes into the point that it was a symbolic term basically for the king of Babylon, because you had many different rulers throughout the ages that were referred to as this term, as the bright morning star. And I'm going to give an example. When you go back to the time of the Egyptian Empire, you had the pharaohs, and the pharaohs were known as what? The word pharaoh comes from the Hebrew word para'ah. Alright, so when the Babylonians came into power, they took on the customs of the Egyptians, and they took on that same title, which is basically the title of the enlightened ones, or being the ones that are enlightened above all other people. Just like in today's terms, that term kept getting passed on until you had today, going back into a couple of hundred years ago, to the Illuminati in 1776, which basically means the light bearers. So they took on the light bearing of those ancient empires, and they took upon themselves in this day and age to continue on that Luciferian doctrine that was being taught back then. So it says, as a symbolical representation of the king of Babylon in his pride. And the so-called white man today is the proudest man out of all people on the planet Earth. Now, in the scriptures, it's the only people that are known as the proud, or the most proud, really, to a high extent, is talking about the so-called white man, which is Esau. The Lord said that the pride of their heart has deceived them, and they are the ones that basically are in that prideful seat right now. It says, as a symbolical representation of the king of Babylon and his pride, splendor, and fall. The passage goes beyond the Babylonian prince and invests Satan, who at the head of this present world system is the real, thorough, invisible power behind the successive world ruler of Tyre, Babylon, Persia, Greece, and Rome. So basically, really right now in this time period, the so-called white man has taken on all these ancient Babylonian, ancient Persian, Medes, Egyptian deities and gods and doctrines, and basically he has taken on the seat of Lucifer, so to speak. You know, it says this far-reaching passage goes beyond human history and marks the beginning of sin in the universe and the fall of Satan and the pristine, sinless sphere before the creation of man. All right. Similarly, Ezekiel 28:12 to 14. So it's trying to compare. It's comparing this present day, because you go back in the ancient world. There's no different today. It's comparing these different empires, even this empire today, as a symbol of this so-called satanic empire, because of the fact that the Luciferian doctrine, which was being taught back then, is being taught right now. But the only difference is that the people that were teaching it back then are not the same ones that's teaching it now, because the different empires changed from hand to hand, and they went through the different nations. And all nations on the planet Earth basically ruled. Even us, the Israelites, we ruled for a period of 40 years. I mean, we ruled longer than that, but the only time that we ruled where it was a peaceful setting was during the time of Solomon, or King Solomon, which we ruled for a period of 40 years in peace, where no other nation ever even bothered us. And that was the longest period of rule for peace on the planet. And that was just a small example of what the kingdom is going to be for us, the Israelites. There's going to be nothing but peace for us. But the other nations, they're still going to get jacked up. It says, under the figure of the king of Tyre likewise traces the fall of Satan and the corruption of his power and glory. In the Ezekiel passages, Satan gloriously and splendidly unfallen state is described. In Isaiah 14:12 to 14, his fall is depicted. In both passages, representation is now listen to this close. In both passages, they're going back to Ezekiel 28 and Isaiah 14. In both passages, representation is not of Satan as confined to his own person, but working in and consummating his plans through earthly kings and rulers who take to themselves divine honors, and who, whether they actually know this or not, rule in the spirit and under the aim of Satan. Then they give you some scriptures: Daniel 10:13, Ephesians 6 and 12. Show that there are human as well as superhuman agencies in the world, governments in the satanic world system. So basically, that's basically what the scripture, when the scriptures speak about Lucifer falling from heaven, or it speaks about Satan fighting in the heaven with Michael and his angels, and they fought, then Satan and his angels fell. It's talking about these world empires that have ruled on the planet Earth. The end of it being Esau, the so-called white man, ruling, and now being brought back down to hell, meaning back down into slavery. And that's what it's talking about. So what I want to do is I want to go into the scriptures real quick, and I just want to hit a couple of points before we go into more detail of Lucifer and Satan being cast out of heaven, which we're going to show you and explain to you even further what that means. Alright, so the first point I want to make is I want to go to the book of Acts, the 14th chapter, and I want to just make this quick point, because when there's the word Jupiter appears 3 times in the scriptures. Alright, and it all appears in the book of Acts. So now I want to go to the book of Acts, the 14th chapter. I'm going to start at 12 and the 13th verse, and we're just going to go straight to the point. And it says, and they called Barnabas Jupiter, and Paul Mercurius, because he was the chief speaker. Then the priests of Jupiter, which was before their city, brought oxen and garlands unto the gates, and would have done sacrifice with the people. So now basically they were calling Barnabas and Paul Jupiter and Mercurius. Alright, and the reason why they were calling them that was because they were at that time worshiping these different deities and these different gods, which they weren't really deities.